Hello there everyone, I am Blueray Treehouse and I am here today with my very first display of my current animation project. So what I'm hoping to do on my personal YouTube channel is to just post every now and then works in progress. So for this instance, I'll be using my animation final. Now I have already gotten started on this project because I've had it assigned for a while and I should have already started it much earlier before, but anyways, so I started off with doing a background. So what you will have here is the first rough drawing that I did. So this is just pencil and paper, and then I uploaded it into Toon Boom Harmony, program that I use the most. And now I'm also going to show off what the finished line art. This is pretty much finished. The only thing that you won't see is actually the garbage can and the desk along with its accessories. So that is here, and I'll get rid of the office roughs. So there we go. That's what the finished background looks like aside from coloring. Now in terms of color scheme, I'm going to actually add some various shades of grays and blacks because this scene is a noir-esque feature. Now before I continue, I should actually get rid of this small dot that I have here. Now the reason I have this dot is because I was actually drawing this room in perspective. If you haven't figured out already, I used 1-point perspective. For those of you who don't know what 1-point perspective is, it's pretty much a technique used to help you in drawing perspective. So we're looking at a room from this angle, so this line will connect to this line because it pretty much dictates, oh, this is how the room is facing, where it's all pointing to eventually. So there we go. Now that I don't actually need it anymore, I'm going to actually cut it out along with this miniature portion as well so that it won't be a bother. Alright, so aside from coloring, I don't think there's anything else I need to add. So what I'll actually do now is I'll turn on my office roughs, if I believe, no, sorry, it's not under office roughs. What I'm pretty much doing now is I'm going to show the other roughs that I've done, like this bathroom scene, so that I can eventually start going in and drawing that as well. This one I also did on Toon Boom Harmony, but this was on a different computer, so I just took a quick picture of it. So this is a bathroom scene, and for those of you who don't know what this whole animation final is, I decided to get the audio from Home Alone, the first one, where the kid decides to watch a black and white mob movie. What I'm pretty much doing for this animation is I'm getting that mob movie scene and animating to it. I'm not going to use the same characters, I'm pretty much just using the audio. So let's start off with this scene. Okay, so I don't think I need to use perspective for this one because I kind of already done it. So what I'll actually do is just, yes. So what I'll do is I'll start building out the rough portions of the room using the appropriate colors. So let's get black. Also, let's check what was the sizing that I used for. Okay. What I want to do is pretty much keep the line consistency consistent. So this is currently 10 that I'm using. I think I used a 20 for the background. So let's put in a 20. Yeah, that's about what I have. Also, I'm going to take the program out of render mode so that it's pretty much so I can operate the program better. Because in Toon Boom Harmony, there is the unrendered mode, and then there's the rendered mode. The rendered mode makes it look pretty, and this is what you're going to see in the final cut. But if you notice, it's it takes a while to process because it's rendering out the image. So what I'll actually do is primarily work in unrendered so I have the quickness. Alright, so now I'm going to bring back the bathroom scene, and also you notice that this image is now slightly darker, or sorry, more opaque. And how I did that was I just used the light table function. So if I turn it off, it'll get back to its normal color. Turn it on. Pretty much this is onion skinning for those of you who know a little bit more about art than others. So I'm going to start sketching out the room. Alright, so I'm just going to put down a line here to establish the corner. and then I'm going to drag out a line to establish the floor line here, one here, and these are just rough drawings, so yeah, I don't actually have to, or I have the freedom to move them around. And pretty much when I'm starting to draw a background, it's always good to start with the actual building itself, because like in this rough drawing, notice how the cabinet's actually technically in the wall, judging by the line. So that's something I have to change or fix. So it's good to kind of build out your room from the beginning, and then go in and start adding all the items, such as like a mirror or this bathtub. Alright, now where else to start? I also am going to be doing a tiled floor. I'll see how that goes, but for now, we'll just continue off with this. What else to continue on? Let's see. Now the question is, do I want to push out the wall further outwards, like around here? Because if I do so, then I won't have to move the cabinet, and what I'm pretty much figuring out is, if I move the cabinet closer, it might not get the same desired look. So what I'll actually do is I'll get rid of that line I just made, use the contour editor tool, or whatever it's called, scoot it up, and change perspective a little bit more. We'll see how that does. I think I'll go back to what I was originally doing, and we'll start drawing some of the other features first. So I'll put it on the line art layer. I'm going to move it over to this layer, so everything that I draw now is going to be on its own layer. So notice if I start erasing, it's not going to be erasing the original line. So pretty much I want to do that so that I can create the drawings without interfering with the wall, and then I'll just copy paste them into the original background to just put them on all white in one area for easier use. Alright, I think I'll start off with, it doesn't really matter what I start off with, but I think I'll just pick the thing that I like the most. So I'll start off with this elaborate painting that I've kind of doodled. So this is supposed to be an elegant mirror or painting. I'm still deciding. So I think it might just be a mirror. Actually no, it might just be a painting. That way I won't have to actually draw the character who will be inside of the bathtub and their reflection. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to redraw this little loop. Actually I should use the contour editor tool to edit the form. Let's get rid of this unnecessary line so it's not messing with what I want exactly. Use the point, boom, let's clean up that angle. There we go. Now I'm going to copy, oops, wrong tool. I need the select tool to copy. Copy the drawing, paste it, and then we are going to use the vertical tool to flip it so that I don't actually have to draw it again. That way my lines are consistent. And we're just going to move that over a little bit. See how that looks. We'll turn off. I like that. Alright, we'll stick with that for now. Let's also work on this one. This little interesting aesthetic. Put a line here, put a line here, and the reason I'm doing this is so that we're using the line tools, because then I can get the better controlled line art that I like more. I tend to like more focused, clean, very clean line art, while others kind of do the Photoshop thing where they just control undo until they get the line they desire the most, which there's nothing wrong with that. I think most people do that, but I'm more neat freak in terms of drawing. So going to flip that so I can get the same look, change the angle a little bit so that it fits. Let's turn off this background layer so that I can see it clearly. That looks excellent. Let's copy this. So let's copy you first. Paste you down to the bottom. And pretty much with this copy pasting, it's pretty much with copy and pasting. It's really big animator's friend because in animation, especially like studio animation, you're working on the time, like deadlines. So if you can find a way to cheat, well, it's not really cheating, but find a way to skip some corners in terms of drawing time and reducing it, you'll be even better and you'll reach your deadlines. There's this one very good an animation that I wish it was finished, but unfortunately it fell victim to never reaching its deadlines, and that is The Thief and the Cobbler by Richard Williams. He's one of the animation legends of the entire industry. If you don't know him, you should learn about him. He's a very, very talented animator. Anyways, his feature is actually on YouTube. I think I don't remember what the links were, but it's The Thief and the Cobbler, and it's classically animated, so that's paper and pencil, and it's just a very it's very hard to say. It's one of those animations that if you look at it, you know the second you see it, you're never going to see anything like it again. But I highly recommend you check it out. Anyways, so let's just continue reusing the drawings that I've already used for this painting. So we're going to scoot that over. Excellent. Let's try something interesting here. We're going to copy this, paste, then we're going to flip it horizontally, and then we're going to flip it vertically. There we go. Alright, that means I don't have to draw out this image more. And if you notice this image is slightly out of perspective, that's okay, because what I can simply do is come back and use this tool, it's called the perspective tool, to change its perspective. It's a very helpful tool. But I won't do that just yet. I want to finish drawing out the image before I do so. So let's go back to my reference. Okay, so the inside has a curly design and then also a pointed design as well. So we'll implement that into the current design. So let's turn back on that drawing for one more reference. Alright. Boom. Let's try that. Use the contour editor to get the desired curveness that I want. Let's try this. It's a little too big, but I can scale it down. Only matter is, will I like this line enough where I can replicate it and make it look nice. So we're going to flip horizontal, flip it around. We also want to sort of match the angle that we're already using. Let's turn off the background once more so I can see clearly. I don't like that. So here's what I'm going to do actually. I'm going to use my pen rather than my mouse to roughly draw it out. Let's try this. There we go. I think I like that better. Copy, paste, and then we're going to flip horizontal. Now let's flip it vertically. Oops, sorry, not vertically. Command Z. Flip horizontal once more. Yes, now we flip it vertically. There we go. I like that one much better. There we go. Okay, now let's actually do this, because I don't like the squiggliness of this line, so I'll cut this using the cutter tool. There we go, so now it's down to just kind of a little bit of a stub. We're going to replicate this piece and put it on every corner. Copying, paste, move it on over. We're going to use the horizontal tool. There we go, we got a corner right there. Let's just try to make it as even as possible so that it's not wrong. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy both of these to save me effort. So copy, we're going to paste it now, and then we're going to use the vertical tool to flip it vertically. Then we're going to use the horizontal tool to just flip it horizontally. And there we go. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to grab the line tool once more, place it at the very tip, and then hold down Shift to get a straight line going straight down to the next line. Now you'll notice that they're slightly off. I kind of figured this would happen, so what I'll do now is I'll actually edit this now so that we can get it much more clean and so that the drawing will work. Boom! Alright. Now we're going to bring this down. There we go. Now what I can possibly do is copy it. So copy the line, paste it on over, use it for the other side. Now just to simply edit the lines a little bit so that it works out. There we go. Now let's do the bottom. That's 1, and that's 2. Excellent. So we have the inside of the mirror, but we're missing something. I added a slightly triangular point to each side. So I'm going to go back into the drawing and add that now. So let's put a line as a reference to show where the point is going to point to. Put one here, then one here, and one here. And now what I'll do is go back with the cutter tool, cut, 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 and then a few more cuts to get the painting to be one piece. Oh, we don't want to delete that. Delete. And now we've got it pretty much perfectly, but there's these kind of undesirable lines. So what I can do now is I can just go back in, edit the lines a little bit so that we get that weird jutting out position out of the way. So there we go. We'll do it a little bit more just to make the other ones seem a little more professional and clean. There we go. And also please note that if you back out, if you zoom out of this image, and it's not going to be easy to see unless you're purposely looking for it. So unless you've seen this stream and then you're looking at the final product and then noticing it, you're not going to see it. Alright, so the painting's pretty much done. So for now, I'll leave it alone because I want to work on a few of the other things before I continue. I also left an arrow up here suggesting, hey, move this up. So maybe I'll do that. Let's see. Let's move this up first. And also get rid of this because I didn't like the angling of it. There we go. Excellent. Alright. Now here's what I'll do. I'll actually use the perspective tool because this is not a 1-point perspective, this is a 2-point perspective piece now. Gonna edit the lines a little bit so that it contours to the appropriate perspective. There we go. That looks a lot better now. Alright, now we're going to turn back on the background and see what else to draw next. So there's a bathtub, there's a table with a wine glass and a wine bottle. There's also a towel rack here. It's very sketchy. Of course, some shoes as well. The cabinet with a gun belt on it, and a coat over here hanging off to the side. And let's not forget the tiling as well in the tree. So I think what I'll do now is I will actually draw the cabinet because I need to figure out what I'm doing with that exactly. So I'll start off with the rough, just the shape of it. And rather than drawing it out entirely line per line, I'll use the rectangular tool to get the rough shape out first. So there we go, there's our piece. Then I'll use the perspective tool just to edit its perspective because again, this is something that's not a flat image. We're not looking at it from straight around. And let's go back because I realized I can do this. So notice how I want to keep the points at the same distance apart, so the top point and the bottom point, I want them the same. I can actually use the center one to keep the distance. So what I'll do is change the image, select it, move it about, we'll move it about here because this thin black line right here is actually where how much of the screen is going to get shown. So we'll play around with this, move it about, and pretty much figure out where exactly I want this cabinet to sit. Alright, I think I like how that's going right now. Let's actually change the perspective on this one a little bit because I don't like what's going on here. Alright. Having a little bit of difficulty on this cabinet, so I think what I'll do is actually drop it for now and just move on for now and do something else. That way I'll have some time to come up with some different ideas. So I think what I'll actually do now is work on the bathtub. Let's get the line tool out. Do a little bit of... Oh, I don't understand why the... Yes, okay. Excellent. Alright, so just to be sure, let's press K. K in Toon Boom Harmony just pretty much gives you the lines of anything that's on the drawing layer. And if you notice why there's a bunch of all these, or you'll notice all these little gold and yellow dots, it means that the lines have an opening in them. So if I try bucket filling them in, it won't actually bucket fill because of the fact that Toon Boom Harmony tries to be safe in terms of filling in color. You don't want to accidentally fill in color in the place that you don't want it to, like this back wall. So what I'll actually be doing now is going under the paint tool, going down to close gap, and I'll be using the close gap tool to literally close the gaps. That way if I try bucket filling, it won't technically pour out into the space above. So I'll just be going back and coloring in. So that's one, that's two. Let's also get the area in between here because that is also not a closed line. Try it here. One more here, one more here, and one more here. So do some over here. There seems to be a lot that I need to close lines with. So usually when you're drawing, try to keep an eye out for things such as that, especially if you're like copy and pasting, because then you'll get it done the first time and then not have to repeat it like what I'm doing. But oh well, we learn from our mistakes. Here's another one. Here's another one. Another one. Put one more over here and another over here. Close this one. Is there any more left? Let's do a test. This isn't going to be the actual color for as far as I know. Oh, it colored the frame, but unfortunately colored the inside, which is not what I want. So we'll get the close gap tool again, and yes, that's where it's opening from. There's probably a few more, at least two more. There we go. There's another. There's another. Oops. Let's not close the entire thing off. There we go. Now let's give it another test. I'll do a different color. There we go. Much better. See, I don't want the background being drawn in because I haven't decided what exactly is going in that picture. I might just get an image and just input it in there as well. Alright. Excellent. So now that I've given you the ropes of what's going on in my project, the scene is pretty much going to start off with a hallway scene where a character is going to be walking down the hallway and then making a left into a room. And then it'll show the office scene that I drew earlier, right here, with our main character sitting behind a desk, which I will draw in a different layer. And then it'll eventually move into a bathroom scene where I'll comedically add a little character and a few other items as well, just to add a little bit more comedy into the rather silly scene. Alright then, so that'll be it for today. I'm going to cut this art recording a little short. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be continuing my work on this project, and be glad to show it to you as well. And bye.